this is Tommy John, and you're listening to the Sports Circus.
Welcome to the Sports Circus. I'm your Ringmaster Sal, live from Las Vegas in the MTV studio, AAMP.TV. Today's show is brought to you by UppercutChops.com. Check out their tasty selection of all-natural, dry-aged USDA prime Wagyu steaks and chops. Wait till you taste their best-in-class New York steaks, the filet mignon, and of course the king of all, those massive cowboy cut and tomahawk cut ribeyes. Best I've ever had, probably be the best you ever have as well. Check them out at UppercutChops.com. That's UppercutChops.com. Or give them a call, find out what's for dinner, 702-799-9935, 702-799-9935. Again, 702-799-9935 for UppercutChops.com. I had a big welcome in, everybody putting up with this nonsense on the live stream. Everybody on television. Listen, folks, life happens. We've had a bunch of mistakes already happen, so just kind of roll with this. You never know where the hell it's going to go. This is what happens. All right. Welcome in, everybody listening in on our CBS, NBC, and Fox Sports affiliates from coast to coast, as well as everybody watching our Cox, Comcast, Spectrum, Frontier, Time Warner, Oceanic, and WOW Cable Television affiliates and Hotel TV in over 500,000 markets. Or better yet, over 500,000 rooms from coast to coast. That's pretty good. That's in 3, 4, 5-star hotel rooms and resort rooms. Wow, really good stuff. I'll tell you what, this is a very large audience. In fact, 4 million impressions per hour. That's a lot of impressions, if you know what I mean. All right, going to jump into baseball. How about this? How about, Wander Franco? If you know anything about Wander Franco from the past. Now, Wander's a very, very, very skilled baseball player and kind of the newbie guy from last couple of years ago. So a lot of people loaded up on his rookie baseball cards, just like myself. He was one of those guys. He can kind of do it all. So how about this one? And he has really fallen on hard times. And, of course, the Tampa Bay Rays have been reeling from this now for quite some time. And frankly, it's just getting really bad. So here, Tampa Bay Rays, Wander Franco, has now, believe it or not, been charged with sexual abuse. Sexual exploitation also against a minor in the Dominican Republic, according to her reports. This is unbelievable. I mean, look, he's been on administrative leave now from the Devil Rays since, not the Devil Rays, the old Tampa Bay Rays. We don't call them their old name. He's been on at leave for essentially a year now, thereabouts. It's been 11 months, whatever the case. And I mean, this is just going from bad to worse. So now he's a shortstop, but he's a damn good one when he's on the field. Everything else, I don't know. I'm not a part of that, but I can tell you, according to CBS Sports, the Rays shortstop Wander Franco has been formally charged with sexual abuse and sexual exploitation of a minor in the Dominican Republic, according to the Four-Letter Network. And for everyone that doesn't know, that's ESPN. Now, allegations of Franco's conduct first surfaced 11 months ago, as I mentioned. And he's been under investigation by the Dominican government since then. I've got a little something for you with the Dominican Republic. Just bear with me here. Anyway, so Franco last played a game on August 12th of last year, and he's been on that leave since, and recently had the leave been actually extended through July 14th. So I wonder if they're going to try to do some kind of sentencing within the next week. I'm not really sure how this is going to work, but it doesn't look good for Wander Franco. Now, being on leave means that Franco's not been on the Rays roster, but has continued to be paid. So this guy's making a lot of money. He's in the third year of an 11-year, $182 million contract. So let's take 182 divided by 11. The guy's making some bank. Anyway, but Major League Baseball can suspend Franco, likely after the legal process has concluded, without pay under the joint domestic violence policy. Yeah, but what about for the last year? They paid him an extra, I don't know, 10, 15 million bucks, whatever the hell it is. I don't know. It's a big number. Anyway, allegations that Franco had a relationship with a 14-year-old girl came to light last August. What? Unbelievable. I have no idea what the age of consent in the Dominican Republic is, but that's ridiculous. And now, of course, it came to light last August. But then again, according to prosecutors, the 23-year-old infielder has provided the girl's mother with cash payments in a car in exchange for her consenting to the relationship. What? I guess apparently what he's trying to say is her mom was saying, show me the money! Right? Show me the money. Is that what this is about? This is crazy. I mean, this just unraveling into a very ugly rabbit hole. So he was arrested in early January and released on a conditional waiver after paying the equivalent of about $34,000. Prosecutors accused Franco of, quote, taking the minor away from her home in Puerto Plata, which is on the northern coast of Dominican Republic, in December of 2022 and having a 4-month relationship with her with consent from the girl's mother, close quote. Now, that's from the Associated Press. They reported this back in January. Hell, 6 months ago, the AP had posted that. Crazy stuff. So in September of 2023, authorities raided the homes of the girl's mother and seized about 800,000 Dominican pesos, or $13,700 in U.S. money, as well as $68,500 they said was found and hidden behind a frame. I don't know, was it a picture frame or a bed frame? I have no idea, but some kind of a frame. They also found a guarantee certificate from a local bank for 2.1 million pesos, Dominican pesos, or $36,000, that they said was delivered by Franco for the, quote, commercial and sexual exploitation, close quote, of the girl. Mercy. Now, in addition, they seized a Suzuki Swift worth $26,600, according to the document. And authorities noted that days before the car was bought, the teenager's mother had the equivalent of $821 in her bank account. So Franco first made his All-Star team last year, right? That was his first All-Star game. And of course was one of Major League Baseball's biggest and brightest upcoming stars. So, guys like me, I've been collecting baseball cards for many, many years. Just because I like to collect them. I don't buy them, sell them. It's not my world. I have no idea even how to sell these damn things. I've had people say, oh, well, you could sell them on eBay and make tons of cash. No, you can't. In my opinion, you can't. You can't because the fees are excessive, and then it's a bottom feeder's market. I mean, look, the only reason people typically will buy the cards generally, unless you're some kind of a pro and you do this for a living. There are some people, they claim that they know what the hell they're doing, and they're probably right. They pay these grading companies crazy amounts of money to put some rating on a card. When you can look at a card. Okay, so I've got a card here. I got a card here of my good friend and my baseball right hand, which is Darrell Evans. The great Darrell Evans. Of course, Darrell always gets a nice round of applause. All right, so here's a card for Darrell Evans. And I'll get back to the Wander Franco thing here. All right, so everyone watching on TV, there it goes. Here's a great Darrell Evans. Again, a wonderful guy. And he's a world champion. You can't really see his name on there. You'd have to see it on the reverse side, which I'll show you in just a moment here. Okay, there it says Darrell Evans. All right. So, look, people say, well, these cards right here, well, they're worth a bunch of money, blah, blah, blah. Well, there may be errors on it to make more money on it, whatever, as public perception. So I went and bought some of these Wander Franco cards because I was a fan of Wander Franco's abilities and so forth, and I liked the Tampa Bay Rays. So you see, they're looking at the corners, make sure it's straight, make sure the picture is centered and all this other crap. Top to bottom, it's centered. And the same thing, on the reverse side, right? Make sure the white box is centered, which it is. All right, and again, so we look at these baseball cards and say, well, why are we investing in them? Now, me personally, I don't invest in cards. I just don't. I've been buying them since I was a little boy. I have them from all the way back from the 1950s all the way to present day. And it's just my own personal card. So Wander Franco, I thought, hey, this guy's got a lot of ability. And I did this with a player back in the 1990s, back in 1990, 89, 90, actually 90, 91. And I saw this guy hit for the first time. And he was wearing a White Sox jersey. I'm like, that's my home team. That's my favorite team. So I'm watching this guy. He's just a big behemoth of a hitter. He's like 6'6". He's up there, just built like a truck. And the guy ran the count deep. I mean, maybe 12 pitches in the at-bat, 13, 14 pitches, whatever the hell it was, foul ball after foul ball. It's a big guy with a really good eye, but he was down, so he was actually at eye level for the pitch. And all you baseball players, you know what the hell I'm talking about out there. And that was Big Frank Thomas. As soon as that big human, that guy finishes at bat, I went out to try to find every Frank Thomas card I could. And I still have them today. I probably have, 40, 50, 60, 80, 100, I don't know, Frank Thomas cards. And, of course, the majority of those are rookie cards. Well, I did the same thing with Wander Franco. I'm thinking Wander Franco is one of those guys. He could kind of do it all. He's a five-tool guy. He hits for average, hits for power. Guy's got speed. He's got a great glove. And what am I missing? He's got a great arm, too. So those are the five tools for a five-tool player. And now Wander Franco's cards are on the toilet right now because apparently this guy's got some big problems in the Dominican Republic. And look, there's bigger problems there in the corruption in the Dominican Republic. I'll give you a fun story. Well, not really fun. When we come back from break here on the Sports Circus, this guy's in big trouble. I don't even know if he's going to be playing big league ball for the next handful of years. Oh boy, got those cards. Better consider selling them, at least donating them or something. Try to get some value. Back here in a few minutes on the Circus. Don't go anywhere. Lots more to come.
Attention business owners, you and your customers are listening to this right now. Face it, every business needs customers, even yours. The Sports Circus is a primetime nationally syndicated program that's carried on ABC, NBC, CNBC, and Westwood One News affiliates, plus CBS, Fox, and NBC Sports affiliates across North America with coverage from Hawaii to New York. Also, the Sports Circus is available to the 180 million subscribers on iHeartRadio, and the Sports Circus gets about 4 million website visitors per month, which could click through your website and bring sales. The Sports Circus provides great content featuring celebrity guests from sports and entertainment to our audience every weekday, which your company could greatly benefit from by increasing your visibility, foot traffic, eyeballs to your website, and calls from potential customers. Call us right now at 702-799-9935. Again, 702-799-9935. Or email us at info@thesportscircus.com. That's info@thesportscircus.com. Drive your sales today by advertising with the Sports Circus.
Could you use a little extra money right now? If you'd like to borrow up to $100,000 and get pre-approved in minutes, call the number we'll give you at the end of this commercial. Our lending partners have already loaned millions of dollars to individuals just like you, and we're ready to lend you up to $100,000 if you qualify. Even if your credit is not perfect, you could use the money to pay off high-interest credit cards, for home renovations, or consolidate existing debt. You can get flexible, easy-to-pay terms. The consultation to find out if you qualify is free. To find out if you qualify for our special financing program, call this toll-free number 24 hours a day. 800-335-1376. 800-335-1376. 800-335-1376. That's 800-335-1376. Important terms and conditions apply. Not all applicants will qualify. Loan amount, annual percentage rate, and term will vary depending on creditworthiness. Applying does not guarantee approval. Account approval is subject to verification and confirmation of your credit history and acceptance by a lender. If you choose to apply for a loan through us, a consumer report will be obtained to evaluate your creditworthiness in connection with your application for credit.
That's the sound of sizzling, dry-aged USDA Prime Wagyu and Angus steaks from UppercutChops.com. Their best-in-class filet mignons, New York steaks, and the king of all steaks, the tomahawk and cowboy cut ribeyes are the best in the business. Even their Prime Wagyu burgers will likely be the best you've ever had. Browse the full selection of steaks and chops at UppercutChops.com from the comfort of your home or on your mobile device. UppercutChops.com delivers all-natural, dry-aged USDA Prime Wagyu and Angus steaks and chops directly to your door, without the hassle of going to the grocery store and fight crowds to pick from a small selection of average at best meats with injected steroids, fillers, and coloring added to look good. Find out what's for dinner at UppercutChops.com or call 702-799-9935. That's 702-799-9935. 702-799-9935. Or make your selection directly at UppercutChops.com.
back to the Sports Circus. I'm Roy Firestone. Now it's time to throw it back to Sal.
Welcome back to the Sports Circus. I'm your Ringmaster Sal, live from Las Vegas in the AMP TV studio, AAMP.TV. This segment brought to you in part by the Sports Circus. Make sure you check out thesportscircus.com for our upcoming guests, our prior guests, our recorded shows, which are podcasts. We don't do a podcast, but we do store our full recorded shows on that podcast platform, all mistakes included. We don't fix it in the mix. Why? Because it's more fun that way. Nonetheless, we're on Apple, Audible, Amazon, iHeart, Spotify, Pandora, you name it, we're there. You can't get away from us. Also, make sure you go to the partners page at thesportscircus.com. And we always like to acknowledge the partners. One of those partners that's been with us for a very, very long time is the College of Southern Nevada Athletics. That's csncoyotes.com for upcoming games and events. csncoyotes.com for the College of Southern Nevada Athletics. Yes! All right, welcome back to everybody listening in on our CBS, NBC, and Fox Sports affiliates and independents, including our friends over in Honolulu on CBS Sports 1500 KHKA. That's home of the New York Yankees, San Francisco 49ers, and the Alabama Crimson Tide. Welcome to everybody else up and down the West Coast on pick your favorite independent station, all the way over to Texas, Colorado, through Chicagoland, all the way down to Alabama. Big hello to our friends on the Atlanta Braves Radio Network, WAUD out of Auburn, covering from Montgomery, Alabama, all the way over to Columbus, Georgia. Speaking of Georgia, big hello to our friends over at Atlanta, WDJY 99.1 FM. And good morning to everybody over there as well. Listen, folks, we're on at all different times of the day, but good morning to everybody in Atlanta and everywhere else, everybody watching on Cox, Comcast, Spectrum, Frontier, Oceanic, Time Warner, Wow Cable TV affiliates, in select markets, and Hotel TV in all Nielsen-rated markets. All right. In the last segment, by the way, also want to acknowledge our friends on Chicago Food Favorites. If you're watching on Chicago Food Favorites, that's kind of a fun page on Facebook. So I started a food page. I'm the king of digression. So I started a Facebook page just for fun, for all the foods that I like, my friends like, my family's like, whatever. And it's not just within the city of Chicago. It's, listen, the foods that are known for being from the city. For example, look, Chicago's the pizza capital of the world. It's not New York. No, sorry, New York, with your greasy triangle garbage cardboard pizza. It's not pizza. It's awful. Your take on pizza in New York and Boston and many other places is based off of the original pizza margherita from Napoli, which is the original. So in Naples, Italy, or Napoli, they invented the pizza there, brought it over to New York, but it was perfected in Chicago. In case you're keeping score, whether it's the cracker crust thin, the regular thin, the thick, or the deep dish pizza. The story behind that deep dish pizza, by the way, in case you're wondering, pizza is just kind of that pick up, on the go, grab it, run, eat kind of a food. But they said in Chicagoland, they're like, you know what? We want a meal out of this. We want you to fork and knife it. So we're going to go ahead, we're going to basically build it in reverse of there's still obviously the dough on the bottom, but they're going to put their cheese down. Then they're going to put the toppings on it. They're going to put the sauce, the cheese, the toppings, more sauce, whatever. The point is, it's almost as if it's reconstructed backwards, but it's very big, and you fork and knife it. Most people do. Right? You could pick up the deep dish pieces, but they're really big. But I guess what I'm trying to say is it was more of a meal than just something you pick up and eat on the go. And so there's a big difference between pizza styles between New York and Chicago. New York has their thin, greasy, you tilt it, and all the grease runs off it. Then they fold it, right? They fold it so it's almost like a taco. So it's more of a taco pizza, I guess. But anyway, this way they keep all the grease on the pizza in the first place instead of running down on their shoes. I don't know. But anyway, the point is there's different pizzas for different places. But in Chicago, we have different food entirely. So in Philadelphia, they have a Philly cheesesteak sandwich. Right? A lot of people like that. Basically a fried sandwich of sorts with some really cheap cut of beef. They throw some onions and crap in there, and then they almost like do like the Japanese grill. They just kind of mix it up together. They throw some peppers in there. They slap it onto a bun, throw some cheese whiz on it, and they call it a day. But the Italian beef sandwich is a very different venture entirely. I mean, really, when it's done right, it takes 20 hours to make this, to really cook that top round or bottom round beef. It depends on which one you're using, and to let it sit, to cool, to cut it, to reheat it again. I mean, it's a real big production. And the leader, the founder in the Chicago Italian beef world, is Al's Number One Italian Beef at 1079 West Taylor Street. Founded in 1938. And the story is really interesting. We've had Bones over from Al's Beef on here many a times, a very good friend of the show. But I will tell you this much. If you put the Italian beef sandwich next to the Philly cheesesteak sandwich, you take a bite of the Philly cheesesteak sandwich, you chew it up, you're like, okay. Then you take a bite of the Italian beef, and you're like, wow. Then you take another bite of that Philly cheesesteak, and you end up spitting it out, and you end up eating the rest of the Italian beef sandwich. It is so different. It tastes different. They say, well, it's wet, it's soggy, and all that stuff. That's part of the adventure. That's the whole idea behind it. It is so damn good. And why are we talking about this? Because we can. Think about this. You go to a stadium and watch your favorite player or players or your favorite team. It's funny because people nowadays, they follow players more than teams, seemingly. And of course, the players will switch their jerseys, even in football. We've seen their jersey numbers, so now they have to buy jersey numbers, but then they sell all the jerseys with their names on it, and they get money off of every one of these jerseys. So you'll see a player, maybe a wide receiver, typically in the 80s in their numbers, right? The linemen, the offensive linemen are typically in their 70s, the 70s and 60s numbers, right? Your defensive linemen and your secondary, whatever, they're usually like in the 50s and 90s. Your wide receivers are typically in the 80s numbered. Your running backs and whatnot are usually in the 30s. Quarterbacks are typically single digit to maybe double digits, depending on the quarterback, right? But you'd never really see a quarterback wearing anything above 20. I don't ever recall seeing that. You see a lot of 7s, 13s, 10s, whatever. But now players will actually change their number so they can sell more jerseys. Now, remember when Michael Jordan went from number 23 to number 45? How many number 45s were sold because it's Michael Jordan's number? And you wonder, was it Michael Jordan that started that whole let's follow the player and let's just whatever he does, wherever he goes, we're going to go ahead and we're going to buy his jersey. It doesn't matter what number it is, right? So we went from 23 to 45, back to 23. And then, of course, when he went to the Wizards for a season or two, whatever, just to kind of ride it out, well, and more people would just go buy whatever jersey he was wearing. That's what they would do. Now, we've seen that in today's time where people will pick your favorite jersey. So the players will actually pay in football, for example. They'll pay the team or pay the league, whatever. I don't know where the money goes. But they'll change the number. I think they have to pay a fee to the league, if I'm not mistaken. And so instead of a wide receiver wearing number 88, for example, maybe they'll wear number 4 or number 1, maybe as they did in college. I don't know, to go back to their college numbers. I don't know. But we see a lot of that, and there's so much money in there. I wonder how many people are doing that with Wander Franco's jersey right now. How many people are using the jersey that they bought of him as a crying towel? And I had said in the last segment that I was going to tell you a story about what happened to me in the Dominican Republic. Listen to this. I get out of the airport in a rent-a-car, and we're driving literally from the rent-a-car out maybe a half a mile, right out of the exit where it merges onto the main highway. And suddenly, I get pulled over by 2 alleged cops on a moped. Now, as mind you, this is my first time in the Dominican Republic. I just acquired a house there. And they pulled me over in an underpass where you can go under and get on the highway the other direction. However, it was an extortion attempt. Well, your papers aren't in order and all this other crap. And I just left the rent-a-car place. And they're like, no. You have to pay this. No, you have to pay this. Basically trying to steal my money. And I just arrived for a week for a stay. And so I remember they both got off the moped. I'm like, oh, this isn't good. I'm thinking, man, they're going to draw their weapons. I don't know. I've never been there, right? Third world country. You never know what the hell's going to happen. And so they're both talking to each other on the behind their moped, whatever it was. Anyway, and I was like, screw this, man. I'm out of here. So I floored it out of there in my little piece of crap rental Nissan Versa. And I was trying to get from Santo Domingo all the way up to a little town called Cabrera. And it's a very nice little town. And how do I know where that place where Wando Franco was? That was over in, if I'm not mistaken, Cabarete. Yeah, that's where I guess the girl was. Yeah, I'm looking at the story again. But anyway, yeah, this was a long drive. But my point is, I was wondering how many other times I was going to get shaken down or somebody was going to try to steal my money. I had a whole week of it there. And even, here's a crazy thing, even somebody I know, I'm going to finish up here, he said, if you get into an accident, don't stop. Just keep on going because the corruption level is unbelievable. Now, think about all this stuff with Wander Franco. How much of it is legit? How much is real? I don't know because I have my own experience in the Dominican Republic. I'm only thinking maybe half that story is real. Maybe there's extortion going on. I don't know. Back here in a few minutes on the circus. Lots more to come. I'm your Ringmaster Sal of the Sports Circus, a primetime, nationally syndicated television, radio, sports, and entertainment show. The Sports Circus covers topics others are too scared to talk about. There's no other primetime show like it out here that'll punch you in the face and you'll beg for more. Join me, Hall of Famers, world champions, and all-star celebrity guests for chaos and controversy here on Libsyn and all podcast platforms, plus thesportscircus.com. Remember, folks, it's a circus and we prove it every day.
Hello Americans, it's Uncle Sam here. If you owe $10,000 or more in back taxes to the IRS or state, don't worry. I've got important news that may help you negotiate a lower tax bill. In today's economy, the IRS has released a variety of new rules and is offering more flexible terms to help Americans looking to settle their IRS debt. If you apply today, we may be able to lift your wage garnishments and release a freeze on your bank assets or business. Our team of tax professionals can resolve your case and stop collection actions against you. Even if you've been audited or haven't filed a return in years, they can help. Call right now and find out if you qualify to settle your IRS debt for far less than what you owe. Pick up your phone right now and call us for a free $500 IRS tax review. Don't wait. Here's the number.
Call right now. 800-950-2049. 800-950-2049. 800-950-2049. For the last time. That's 800-950-2049.
The old way of living with diabetes is a pain. You've got to remember to do your testing and always need to stick your fingers to test your blood sugar. The new way to live your life with diabetes is with a continuous glucose monitor. Apply a discrete sensor on your body, and it continuously monitors your glucose levels, helping you spend more time in range and freeing you from painful finger sticks. If you are living with type 1 or type 2 diabetes and you use insulin or have had hypoglycemic events, you might be eligible for a CGM through your insurance benefits. U.S. Med partners with over 500 private insurance companies and Medicare. We offer free shipping, 90-day supplies, and we bill your insurance. Call us today for a free benefits check.
800-659-7805. 800-659-7805. 800-659-7805. That's 800-659-7805.
That's ridiculous.
Quiet, numbskulls, I'm broadcasting.
Hey everyone, Dave Jackson here, ESPN rules analyst on ESPN Hockey, and you're listening to the Sports Circus.
welcome back to the Sports Circus. I'm your Ringmaster Sal, live from Las Vegas in the AMP TV studio, AMP.TV. Folks, in case you're interested in maybe starting your own show, maybe you want your own radio show, your own TV show, maybe you want your own podcast, like 3 million other people out there, and you don't know how to put it together. Well, guess what? I do know how to put it together, and I've been helping other people do that for quite some time. And if you're interested to learn how to do this, I mean, for real, the most important thing outside of content is king, but you've got to have the ability to convey your message to the masses, and they have to be able to grab that message and pick a side on it. I can help you develop content. I can help you broadcast, help you with pre-production, post-production, but most importantly, distribution. Distribution is absolutely everything outside of course, content is king, if you know what I mean. But if you don't know how to get it to the people, well, you're going to be stuck in podcast hell like 3 million other people. And really, it's like the top 1% of the top 1% are the ones that really make any real money in these podcasts. So if you're interested in learning a little bit more, give me a call, 702-799-9935, 702-799-9935, 702-799-9935, and maybe I can give you some pointers, point you in the right direction, and maybe even help produce and broadcast and distribute your own show. All right, welcome back to everybody. You know who you are, TV, radio. We've been talking about baseball cards and food and all kinds of stuff. So here's an interesting thing. So I was looking through some cards on commercial break, which I've got a deck of cards, and the top card here is a 1966 Eddie Meter card. Now, Eddie was a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful guy. He's a halfback with the LA Rams, and he passed away not too long ago, but he's one of those guys. He is a good friend of the show, but this is a 1966 football card. So I have them from the 60s, 70s, 80s, all the way forward. And this, of course, being a 1970s Dave Robinson Hall of Famer card. Now, I know Dave as well. Dave's a wonderful guy, a friend of the show. So that's a 70, Dave, for everybody watching on TV. That is a 1970s Dave Robinson card. And here's a 1975 Dave Robinson card as well with the Washington Redskins, right? So, you know, we think of some of these players, some of these cards. So this is one of our really good friends, Craig Colquitt. Now, you may remember Craig won 2 Super Bowls with the Pittsburgh Steelers. And Craig also has a couple of boys that each won Super Bowls as well. The only family that I know of in the NFL history, it's a father winning 2 Super Bowls, and he has 2 sons each winning a Super Bowl as well. That's pretty cool. So I guess my point is here, as I thumb through these cards from the 70s, 80s, 90s, and even our very dear friend and my big brother, Leonard Marshall. Leonard deserves to be in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Hopefully he will someday. Leonard's a wonderful human. But, you know, you think about these cards and you say, what is the value? And you notice none of these are in these encased rating nonsensical things from, there's a few companies out there, I'm not going to name them. And these companies, what they do is they say, send us your card. We'll rate it for you. So we'll be an impartial rating service. And we'll say on a scale of 1 to 10 if it's a great card or if it's not a great card or whatever the hell it is. We'll inspect all the flaws. We're going to charge you anywhere from $15 to $100, sometimes more. And people say, well, I want my card rated. My own cousin says, well, I won't buy a card unless it's rated or graded by this particular company. And I'm only a member of their organization. I don't believe in anything else because they're allegedly the gold standard in this whole rating and grading business. What a blue sky ripoff, in my opinion. Look, folks, if you know that you've got a great card for you, and let's say I'll go back to my good friend Darrell Evans, right? I mean, this Darrell Evans card is the 1989 Don Russ card. It's not a great card as far as its value goes, but it's a great card to me because Darrell's a great friend. And so what is that worth to me? It's going to be worth something different to somebody else, right? One person's trash is somebody else's treasure. You know, we've heard that before. Or, well, you know, you say it's worth this. Well, it's only really worth this. Well, it's only worth what you're really willing to pay for it. So that's why people go and spend lots of money with these grading companies. Well, it's a blah, 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 10 rated card means the perfect card. Like I have a Michael Jordan card from when he was at North Carolina. It's one of those 10 out of 10. And that particular one is by a particular company. And it also has part of his jersey in it too. It's one of those really cool cards. But it's my card. And I acquired it that way. I wasn't out trying to increase the alleged value by a multiple of somebody recently told me, it goes up by 5 to 6 times. So if it's worth $1, apparently it'd be worth, or $100, it'd be worth like $600 because some organization says, it's worth more money. Whatever. In my opinion, that's the biggest scam in the sports card world, and even non-sports cards too. I have comic cards and others crap too. My point is, if you turn it into a business, then you try to sell it online or whatever. So let's say your multiple goes up by 5 times, whatever the hell it is. But then public perception says, that card, it may be graded as a 10 or a 9.5 or a 9 or whatever the hell it is. Well, guess what? We're only going to offer you 50% of value. Okay, so let's just use that argument of $100. Well, the grading is a perfect 10, and we know we can get $500 for it. Yeah, I'm offering you $50 for it. Are you going to take it? In many cases, they take the $50. Mind you, it costs $50 to get the damn thing graded in the first place. And then you've got to do shipping and handling and insurance and all this other crap. So it's a losing proposition. You'll make $10,000 or $15,000 off of this, blah, blah, blah. No, you won't. That's a bunch of crap, because if you were going to make that much money, they would have kept it in the first place. So all of that is a big steaming pile of BS, in my opinion. It's my opinion, and I can say that. Why am I talking about it? Because recently, about 12 hours ago, sure enough, according to CBS Sports, yes, theft happened. Allegedly, or supposedly, or as reported, local police are currently investigating the alleged theft of a alleged $2 million trading card collection. Now, this is in Allen, Texas. Police are investigating an alleged theft of a pricey baseball card collection, according to NBC5 Dallas-Fort Worth. A card dealer recently posted a spreadsheet online that showed nearly $2 million worth of sports cards were stolen at a recent card show. Now, just stop right there for a minute. How was this $2 million estimated? Oh, that's right. The card grading companies. Well, this is the fair market value for this. So they're the ones manipulating the market? It's kind of like the stock market, but for cards? Are you kidding me? Show me the money! The scam gets deeper and uglier. So police told NBC5 that they are continuing to investigate the theft that took place at the Dallas Card Show, which is one of the biggest card dealers, the biggest card dealer events in the United States. Perfect. So recently, a man distracted by a vendor for a particular card organization, we're not going to call them out, and another man ended up stealing the case of cards that was behind him. So allegedly, a case was worth $2 million, apparently. So-and-so, who is the card dealer for that particular organization, posted video surveillance on X and Instagram in hopes that somebody would recognize the culprits. And this particular person has also offered a $70,000 reward for help in the case. So, of course, they say, thanks for all the support we have received. We appreciate all the messages and prayers as well. And we've decided to offer a reward of $70,000 for the return or information leading to the return of the cards that were stolen. Please email or call blah, blah, blah. So, what are we talking about here? Who set the value? Oh, that's right. It was those grading companies, apparently. Right? If this is supply and demand, folks, there is no set number that the market has, like a price floor and a price ceiling. Right? We see that in terms of economics. Right? It's a little bit different here. It's all supply and demand at this point. And they say, well, how many of these particular cards are in population? Well, how many of this particular Eddie Meter card is in population, according to these grading companies? And this almost, well, it's off-center, but it's outside of that, this card's in perfect shape, right? So they had probably graded an 8.5 out of 10 because it's not centered properly. The point is, the population, how many of those particular cards are in circulation, available, right? Supply and demand of that, versus what the alleged pricing model is online is how they determine the prices. Then you have the dynamic of, well, yeah, that's my favorite player, or he's on my favorite team, or whatever the hell it is. This whole thing, in my opinion, it smells. So the Allen Police Department is involved. And of course, this isn't the first time that valuable sports cards have been stolen. In May of 2024, cards worth more than $2.1 million were stolen in Ohio when the owner was preparing for a show. And a 27-year-old man was later arrested for theft. Allen Police Department believes that this particular instance was an organized, planned crime. And they say it appears to be an organized group that they come in, they distract, and then they take it. Whatever. Listen, folks, if you're going to collect cards, keep the cards at home. If you're going to go to these shows, get them graded, I get it, but use it for your own enjoyment. Don't try to make a business out of it, even though you can make a lot of money on it. And if so, I don't know. Just be human about your pricing. Don't try to tell people it's worth $15,000 when it's worth $1,500. Back here in a few minutes on the circus. Don't go anywhere.
Can your IRA stand up to the next financial crisis that our top economists are saying is at our doorsteps? By allocating a percentage of your IRA into physical gold and silver with a tax-free rollover, you can diversify and safeguard your holdings from turbulent markets and economic downturns by putting your IRA back on the gold standard. Find out how to safeguard your assets with a tax-free rollover with a Genesis Gold IRA, the only IRA that can hold physical precious metals. Call now for your free gold and silver report. Protect your IRA today with one simple phone call and learn how to qualify for up to $10,000 in free silver. Call Genesis Gold Group, empowering faith-driven stewardship. 800-932-5517. 800-932-5517. 800-932-5517. That's 800-932-5517.
If you served in the Marine Corps, by now you know about the contaminated water problem at Camp Lejeune. If you were stationed or worked at Camp Lejeune from 1953 to 1987, you probably have a lot of questions. We have some answers. You could be entitled to compensation. Billions of dollars are being allocated to pay for damages to anyone stationed at Camp Lejeune during that time. Unfortunately, it appears that officials may have known the contaminated water problem existed and did little to protect their men. The Semper Fi Code was not honored. If you or someone in your family has developed a serious illness, including various forms of cancer, call this Camp Lejeune legal support line right now. You can't turn back the clock and change what happened, but you can certainly call right now and learn your rights as a Marine. Here's the number.
Call 800-335-7196. 800-335-7196. That's 800-335-7196.
That's the sound of sizzling, dry-aged USDA Prime Wagyu and Angus steaks from UppercutChops.com. Their best-in-class filet mignons, New York steaks, and the king of all steaks, the tomahawk and cowboy cut ribeyes are the best in the business. Even their Prime Wagyu burgers will likely be the best you've ever had. Browse the full selection of steaks and chops at UppercutChops.com from the comfort of your home or on your mobile device. UppercutChops.com delivers all-natural, dry-aged USDA Prime Wagyu and Angus steaks and chops directly to your door, without the hassle of going to the grocery store and fight crowds to pick from a small selection of average at best meats with injected steroids, fillers, and coloring added to look good. Find out what's for dinner at UppercutChops.com or call 702-799-9935. That's 702-799-9935. 702-799-9935. Or make your selection directly at UppercutChops.com.
Hey everybody, this is Brian Urlacher. Welcome back to the Sports Circus.
Welcome back to the Sports Circus. I'm your Ringmaster Sal, live from Las Vegas in the AMP TV studio, AAMP Again, folks, make sure you check out the sportscircus.com for our upcoming guests, our prior guests, or recorded shows, which are our podcasts. We don't do a podcast. It just happens to be our version. And also, make sure you check out that show schedule real close. We've got a really interesting guest coming up. It's one of my favorite bands. I'm actually going to bring on their frontman and lead guitarist from Blue Oyster Cult. And we're bringing on Buck Dharma from Blue Oyster Cult. Now, I've seen them a few times, and I got to tell you, they put on a great show. I mean, Buck is a living legend. The band has been around since 1967, 1971. They've been doing it for a lot of years, over 50 years. And what's cool is they're still touring. They're still doing it. In fact, we may even get a premiere of new music by Buck and the guys. That's going to be very exciting, and that's going to be on July 23rd. So make sure you tune into this live stream. If you want to ask questions, we'll open the phone lines up, and it'll be live. And so, again, you have to watch your language, but we'll do the live television portion. And some radio stations will be live as well. Others will be recorded, but that's just how it is. And some markets we play at 8 a.m., some at 2 p.m., some at 3 p.m., some at 5 p.m., some at 7 p.m. It's just that way. We can't help that. It's just the schedule. When you're trying to get 215 odd radio stations all at the same time, it's almost impossible to do it. But it will be live here and on some of the stations. So if you want to tune in, have a little bit of fun, hear some great music by Buck Dharma and Blue Oyster Cult, tune in right here on the Sports Circus. And, of course, it'll be brought to you by Chicago Food Favorites and any other organization that we decide that we want to throw in there. Even Al's number one Italian beef at 1079 West Taylor Street in Chicago's Little Italy. If you've never been over there and you can't get over to Chicago to go get one of those Italian beef sandwiches, guess what? Go to alsbeef.com. That's alsbeef.com and tell them the circus sent you. Yes! Boy, that's good stuff. Making me hungry now. All right, so with all this talk of cards and stuff, I'm going to shift into baseball for a minute, talk a little bit of trade deadline and some rumors. I'm going to focus a little bit on the National League East because there's a really good race going on there with the Atlanta Braves. Oh, that's right, and they're chasing the Philadelphia Phillies. And listen, the Mets aren't out of the woods yet. I mean, they're not done just yet. But anyway, according to CBS Sports, Major League Baseball trade deadline rumors, Nationals likely to sell. Phillies won't go big. Brandon Nimmo pushes the Mets forward. How do you like that? I mean, this is an NL East heavy rumor roundup, we're going to say. We're going to give Dane Perry a nice round of applause for his input here from CBS. Now, according to him and CBS Sports, the July Major League Baseball calendar is crowded with, of course, the draft and the All-Star Game, etc., and the next festivities. Lots of stuff going on. And the signature event, however, is the July 30 trade deadline and the approaching hoofbeats thereof. Hear them? Maybe, maybe not. Anyway, they're coming, and they're coming big. So let's prepare for their arrival with a roundup. And how about this? How about the Washington Nationals? I mean, look, they're leaning towards selling, which they probably should consider. They've got some really good players there. I wouldn't sell so much, though. Not so long ago, the Nats were real surprise contenders, and they were a 500-ish type of team, and that's, well, thus far what they've been so far. And this is a very tough division that they're in. And for them to be playing 500 ball in the NL East, that's kind of a big deal. But they are actually in the middle of the hunt for the wild card race. However, the Nats have presently dropped 13 of their last 20 games. And of course, that has them kind of going down the ladder of success. So their GM, Mike Rizzo, is sort of facing reality. What's he going to do? So pick your favorite reporter or whatever from this outlet or that outlet. And we're just going to go with The Athletic. The Athletic says Rizzo, the Nats are indeed poised to sell before the deadline. And that likely means outfielder Jesse Winker, remember he broke in with the Cincinnati Reds, and reliever Dylan Floro are bound to go somewhere else. And of course, The Athletic also noted that the sell-off in D.C. could expand to include names like Kyle Finnegan and outfielder Lane Thomas. Now, Lane Thomas is a very good, underrated player. He's one of those guys to really keep your eye on. Lane Thomas can hit for power, He can also hit for average, but this guy doesn't strike out too much either. Now, the Phillies are eyeing modest moves. They're trying not to do anything too big and drastic because, look, they're already cruising in first place. You don't really need to change the chemistry. Once you start changing the chemistry of a ball club, it starts to get a little bit dicey, and I'm not really sure that's the best move. So the Phillies have been, of course, baseball's best team, arguably, all year. But, of course, it's not really a reason that they need to go out and make moves. But the reality is, look, the Atlanta Braves, missing 3 of their top players, are still right in their rearview mirror. Remember, the Braves are missing Spencer Strider all year, their best pitcher, right? So what they do, they plug and play, bring in Chris Sale, and Chris Sale's been an outstanding number 2 or 3 all year. Reynaldo Lopez comes over from the Chicago White Sox and completely reinvents himself. He was a strikeout pitcher in Chicago, but they're using him properly in Atlanta. Different pitching coach, different philosophies, different everything. Whatever it is, Atlanta's just got a great plug-and-play setup. They're doing all the right things. They're making all the right moves. Even with Ronald Acuna Jr. out, they're still 7-odd games back of first place, but they're playing really good baseball. So Michael Harris, he's still out. And he's got, I think he had a hammy problem. But he'll be back in the next week or two, probably after the All-Star break. But again, they're playing very well. And I still believe that they're players for, and I'll say it right now before I even get to it, for Lewis Robert Jr. from the Chicago White Sox. Moving on, anyway, back with the Phillies. So people are saying, well, the Philadelphia front office with Dave Dombrowski may be looking at some moves that may push the club just a bit. And, of course, the writers collectively have written, quote, the Phillies are looking for role players and bullpen depth because they already have MVP caliber talent at the top of the rotation, starters who could swing playoff series. Now, of course, different injury concerns could pop up between now and the end of July and shift priorities, close quote. So the Phillies, again, they're 7.5 above Atlanta. Who knows what's going to happen there? Let's turn ourselves over to the New York Mets. Now, the Mets have brought themselves right back into contention in a very crowded National League wildcard frenzy, and that presents them with a very complicated outlook. I got to remember, look, they like to buy. Cohen likes to buy. He's got money. He likes to buy, and he'll go for it. He'll go crazy with it. I'm not so wild about Pete Alonso hitting in the home run derby. He's already won it a couple times. Doesn't really need to. I like to see Ellie De La Cruz in there, but I think it would really wreck his swing. Nonetheless, the Mets have, of course, brought themselves right back into the thick of things, but for a long time they looked like sellers. But now they're, 16-8 from last month? That's pretty damn good. They were playing 667 ball. And, of course, at the time of talking about this right now, there's still enough time for them to change their course yet again before the end of the trade deadline. But the right moves actually could bring them into a much better spot so they don't have to be sellers. It'll be interesting just to see what happens if maybe Atlanta could potentially take over Philadelphia. And then what if that division balances out a little bit with those 3 teams somehow fighting it off? You never know. Anything could happen in the NL East. So the Mets have a roster, but they have a roster that has some needs as well. So, but for sure, I mean, they're poised to get Senga back from injury. So they're going to get him. Senga's a guy that will take you deep into games, which means they could tap into the rotation depth for deadline purposes. And starting pitchers are, of course, deeply coveted at the trade deadline. And this year's light supply of sellers mean demand will certainly outdo supply. And so that's going to be very tempting for the New York Mets. And now the Mets, of course, look, Mets players probably don't think it's such a tough call. I mean, look, they're hardwired and they want to win. And that means adding and not subtracting in late July. So the Athletic says veteran outfielders Brandon Nimmo has been lobbying the club and the owner, Steve Cohen, to do just that, to be buyers at the deadline. That's what he wants. And, of course, I think the players want it too. And, look, as a Mets lifer, like this person who wrote this particular article, this guy Dylan, look, they say the guys that are signed through 2030 are going to enjoy another great season. They're going to get paid a lot of money, but they want to see the Mets win now. Everybody wants their team to win now. It's not like they're going to go ahead and go buy everybody because they can't, right? You have salary cap, you have luxury taxes, and all this other I mean, look, if you go way over this salary limit, then it costs yourself like 10 spots in a draft, which I kind of like that rule. So there's a lot going on here. And then you've got to think, that's right. Major League Baseball draft is coming up next week. And who's got the number one pick? That would be Cleveland. The first place Cleveland Guardians have the number one pick. So in this case, the rich get richer, but Cleveland's done the right thing with their club, and I'm sort of rooting for them because I think Cleveland is good enough to steal the American League. And you know what? I said this at the beginning at spring training. And for all those people that were doubters that the Arizona Diamondbacks would even compete, guess what? They have crept their way right back into the picture again. They play small ball. They play good baseball, good fundamental baseball. They don't play station ball. No, they move runners over. They'll bunt them over. They'll steal bases. They take the extra base. They stretch doubles or triples into from doubles, and they take singles and turn them into doubles. They do all the right stuff. They distract pitchers on the rubber. They do everything right as a team. This is why they were in the World Series last year. They're just outmanned by a Texas Rangers club. But watch out. The Diamondbacks may also be buyers too, but they don't have a lot of needs because they have team chemistry. And if you think about what the Phillies have, they have team chemistry. You think about what the Braves have, they have team chemistry. The Dodgers seem to be lacking chemistry. The Padres seem to have it. The Minnesota Twins seem to have some chemistry. The Seattle Mariners have chemistry, but not like the Houston Astros. Those guys, somehow, some way, they find themselves right back in the thick of things again. Why? Because that's what the Astros do. And people can rip on them all they want, say, well, they cheated in the World Series. I was one of those guys. But those guys know how to play team baseball. They don't have to make a lot of moves. They make tough moves if they have to, getting rid of this guy or that guy. But teams in the National League East, they don't have to make a lot of moves. They really don't. And that's where we started with this particular article by CBS Sports and their writers. I think they should largely stand pat because the teams are built already to win World Series. Atlanta does need to replace somebody at the top of the order for Ronald Acuna Jr., and I believe that's going to be Luis Robert Jr. from Chicago White Sox, and they'll probably even make a dual trade and take Garrett Crochet as well and slide him into the bullpen. I think that's what's going to happen. That's going to do it for the circus today. I'm your Ringmaster Sal, and we'll see you in about 23 hours right here on your favorite station. So until then, so long, everyone.
Can your IRA stand up to the next financial crisis that our top economists are saying is at our doorsteps? By allocating a percentage of your IRA into physical gold and silver with a tax-free rollover, you can diversify and safeguard your holdings from turbulent markets and economic downturns by putting your IRA back on the gold standard. Find out how to safeguard your assets with a tax-free rollover with a Genesis Gold IRA, the only IRA that can hold physical precious metals. Call now for your free gold and silver report. Protect your IRA today with one simple phone call and learn how to qualify for up to $10,000 in free silver. Call Genesis Gold Group, empowering faith-driven stewardship. 800-932-5517. 800-932-5517. 800-932-5517. That's 800-932-5517.